Sunshine. I'm not going to be on here long, and I won't be on there long. I know most of the time I say it, and then I revoke, and I come up opposite. But Spirit had led me this morning. I have to make sure that I state that, and I seen it come out in the Sunshine Circle, and we also talked about it in the playground experience as well, which is consider your source. Um, Making sure that it's a survival guide that we are. I was watching this morning about someone talking about the Schumann residence and understanding that she said she was a researcher and that doing research most of the time, she says when she's watching the news, she doesn't watch the news that much because a lot of times she hears what they say, and they say if the White House said something, she would go ahead and go to the White House website to reference and see about exactly where did they say that piece of information rather getting it from a secondary source. I remember when I was teaching school, a lot of times they were telling the kids the difference between a primary, which means it comes from that person said, or the picture could be the primary source, or video could be it, but somebody secondary like a reference guide or something else would be considered a secondary source because it didn't come out of that person's mouth. Again, we have to, when we are doing this twin flame adventure, we have to pay attention to what sources that we are actually getting our information from. Is this something that is a primary source or a secondary source? Especially when we're talking about people who we're talking to, people who are ones that are readers or somebody else is talking about, especially with these twin flames. These things are becoming more of happenstance that people are giving on these informations. Those things that we're having like from source as well, bringing that to us. That's coming from primary, and we need to make sure that again that when we're talking about the truth that's going on for us, and I was so happy. I was clapping and really jumping up and down when she had stated that again about this divine truth we're not looking for. And she stated the same thing. When you're looking for truth, be very aware of the truth that we're talking about. She said because a lot of times when somebody says source says or God says, she said you have to watch the definition because there are different people talking about gods, and what God means to them might not be the God that you're talking about or you're so-called serving too. And that's another thing that we have to keep in mind as far as when we're talking about source, our sources, who the person's talking to, who are they using as a reference to as well, and other twin flames, choosing other references from other things. Where are they getting their information from? That came up in Sunshine Circle about that, and April was talking about where they get that source from. Who says that, and who's backing that up, and what's their purpose, what's their intent, and of why they would say something like that. And you have to, again, when you're having conversation with people and you're trying to make decisions, you have to go back to your source, the primary source, which is your heart or your mind or your guides or your angels or your angelic team or your guidance team to kind of check in with them as the primary source. Like, yes, does this resonate what this person is saying to me as far as what they're saying? Because I've even found in this highly intuitive if I have been, certain people, they tell you advice, and I believe that they are saying it from the purest of intentions of heart, but I can be able to sit there and resonate there saying, okay, that comes from a place of ego, that place comes from a place of hurt. They're using that as a reference to tell me about what's going on with my situation. I don't know how credible the credibility of that source is at that time. And that does not mean you throw everything out with the baby, out with the bath water, as well. You have to sit there and really discern. That's why it is. You've got to know what's good for you. What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. What's good for that twin flame is not maybe always good for you. You grown up for that is your belief system. That's something that you grew up with that works for you. And I might say I didn't grow up that way. I don't care how you viewed me as far as where I am or what things that you think that I feel more comfortable in subject matters or realms or templates or dimensions that it seems like I pretty much vibe off with more so. Again, you have to know on this walk here, people think they know, but they just know the PR that they put out there. They only know what you put out there. They don't know all the way to the core of who you are in your own intake. Now, sometimes there are people that know you better than you looked at yourself, if you're especially in that state of denial as well. But a lot of times, people only know what you're able to show. People may not know some of those other shadows and things and say, oh my God, I didn't know that Divine Sunshine is actually an introvert. Okay, I would have thought from the show that she's actually an extrovert. Okay, so this is, again, you can't really gauge by just really how long, even if you've known them for years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or whatever, that you think that you really got the finger of the pulse about what a person is. That's why I said again, you have to, what a person is sending out there as a representative is really almost like a secondary source. You don't know what their primary source is of being of who they are. You could also know source, but again, also because of free will and respect, there will, even when I do readings, they'll only tell me so much, okay? And it's some things they say, no, I won't reveal. So I don't know how in some ways you're talking to somebody else and you giving them advice, you think you got the whole totality of what the scope is going on with that person. You have to really be able to really delve and really sit and see, because everything, even you hear me on this show, everything has layers. They'll tell me it's not just one thing, it's so many layers to it. Even when we're doing readings here, we're only hitting like the highlights or the high notes of things. We haven't gotten all the way down deeper. That's why we always tell you, please come and get a reading, especially for you, because that might be the surface of it. But then when we delve deeper, it's like, oh God, yeah, that one little part when I showed you that card was leading you on to this, and now it branches out into so many other areas. That is why you have to, again, consider the source. Consider the primary or the cardinal source, the main one, the primary, the foundational thing, and then all those other things layer on top of that. Again, so while you're doing this, a survival guide tip that's to you. Always check your sources. Consider your source. See, is it primary or secondary? Is this something that this person themselves feel like they have filtrated and gotten from source, and now they're digesting it to you? Or the primary source? Is this something that you got from source and you've internalized it and seen what it is for yourself? All right then, until next time, remember to get a divine love letter. Check me out on Divineunisouls11.co for more info. As always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, Namago. Love you.